Thanks for taking the time, Coach. Would you like to open us up today or jump into questions?
Writing questions is fine.
Sounds good. And with that, guys, if you would please raise your hands. And there's no hands right now. So if someone wants to go ahead and ask the first question, the floor is open.
I'll jump in here. Hey, Matt. Good afternoon. Wondered, you played Cam the one snap yesterday and then not again. What was the thinking there and as y'all moved through that game?
Yeah, we had different plays. We thought, especially down the red zone, that Cam was up for. That was a play. Really, we're half a block away from that being a touchdown. Luckily, we scored on the next play. I mean, so we just had some things to take advantage of. Cam's skill set. But as we said, kind of going in, we were going to play Sam and play Cam as needed. And we have a great feel for what Cam can do. We know he can impact the game. Had a chance to impact the game on that play, just unfortunately missed that block, or didn't quite hold the block, and only able to get 5 yards.
Let's go to David Newton, followed by Chris Jenkins.
Hey, man, I wanted to ask you, what's been your impressions of Brady Christensen at left tackle for the last couple of games? How's he performed compared to what your expectations were?
I thought this game he took a big step from the previous game. I thought the previous game he played well and had about 5 snaps that weren't great. I think you saw him. I mean, going there to the Superdome, they had a packed house, as the crowd was loud, crowd noise. I thought he performed well. He still has to work on some of his anchor. In terms of, when guys go to power rush, Davenport and those guys are really good. But I thought he was good in the run game. He was solid in the protection game. It was a good step. He has an opportunity this week, David, to go back and play against the same team he started against 2 weeks ago. And see, one thing we know about Tampa Bay, they're gonna come to play. So he'll have a chance to see how far he's developed. But I've been pleased with Brady. I think he's shown good signs.
Do you go with what he's doing now and do the all season thinking maybe that's your left tackle, or is that still kind of up in the air?
Yeah, I think the way I look at it, and again, I'm pretty focused on yesterday and then this week. I'm not going to do too much looking ahead, but I think for me, these snaps are really good just to see what position he is. We think he's a starter. He's had that rookie year where you're kind of figuring out where you fit, how to play in the NFL. But his skill set, his explosiveness, his power, I think all those tell us that he's a guy that's a starter. It's just a matter of putting that puzzle together. And so I think these games are really important to go back and look at and say, okay, hey, is he our left tackle? Is he our et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he's definitely something for us. I was happy with a lot of the kids that we drafted in this year's draft. A lot of them, being down so many guys, they were forced to play in this game, and I thought he did a nice job. I thought Chuba, a big touchdown run. I thought he had some hard runs. Terrace showed up a couple times. So. Keith Taylor, obviously I think we were down 4 or 5 corners. CJ wasn't able to go. Obviously Dante, Steph, and JC not out there. So it was good to see Keith get a lot of reps. So Brady's one that I was excited about. I think he's got a lot of good football ahead of him.
Appreciate it.
Do you see teams making where they're in the second half that prevent you guys from putting up points? It's been 2 weeks in a row where you've been blanked in the second half, and in this game against the Saints, you guys were actually up by 1 point.
Can you say that again, Chris? I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, what adjustments do you see teams making against you guys in the second half that's preventing you from putting up points? This second game in a row where you guys were blanked in that second half.
Yeah, I think people, as the game goes on, just get a little bit more aggressive. They pressure us. They blitz us. I think we get a little bit, unfortunately worn down. But more importantly, I just think they take away easy throws, play man-to-man, get aggressive and pressure us, and we haven't been able to quite burn them the way we'd like to. We had some opportunities in that game. We got down there again in the fourth quarter. We're kicking to take the lead. And just weren't able to make the kick. So it's just kind of where it's at right now.
Let's go to Jonathan Alexander, followed by Sheena Quick.
Matt, after watching film, what did you think about Sam Darnold, and what do you want to continue to see kind of going forward? Will he continue to be a starter?
I think the thing with Sam, there was good, there was bad. Just like every position, I thought he did some really good things. I thought he, made some plays on the run, converted some third downs. I think we were 40-some% on third down. I think that's right. Versus a really good defense and versus a really good secondary. C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Marshawn Lattimore and those guys, Malcolm Jenkins. That's a really good secondary. I thought he made some big throws, some big catches. Thought he, did some things with his feet to help us. At other times, there were some times where, his first progression's open and he's, kind of hanging on the second progression, and sometimes that results in a sack. And so I think for him as a young player, just taking what they give you can go a long way. So I thought that game was a growth opportunity for him. Obviously he had that last pick at the end of the game when we're kind of in duress, but for the most part, I thought he was accurate with the football. We had a couple drops that really hurt us. So I think it was a game that he played that he's growing, and that's pretty much how I saw it.
Good afternoon, Coach. I actually have two questions. The first, to piggyback off of Chris Jenkins' question, as far as the adjustments that you guys are seeing teams make in the second half. Those first two drives for you guys, you moved the ball well, scored on both of those possessions. What are some of the areas of opportunity that you feel will be available against the Bucs that may not have been there last week?
I think we have a chance to go back and look at how the Bucs played us. I think we have to continue as a coaching staff to be aggressive throughout the game and just trust. I think when you play the Tampa Bay and obviously with Tom Brady on the other side, you play it a little differently than maybe some other teams. We went into this game feeling like our defense would play well, that they would hold them. I think they held them to 12 points through three quarters. So wanting to keep the game close, not do anything to hurt the defense. Unfortunately, we set up we had the one a sack fumble that resulted in points for them. And I think when you play Tampa Bay, it's different. You have to be more aggressive. You have to push the ball more. You have to do some of things, knowing that they still have just as good of a defense. They have just as good of a front. So, the battle this week will come down to how we play up front, as it will every week. We'll have to play really well on our offensive front. I will say this, watching the tape last night and then again this morning, I thought it was by far the best game our defensive front has played. I thought Derek Brown was fantastic. Second play of the game, he runs down Kamara on the screen, or I shouldn't say runs him down, but he makes a tackle, 30 yards down the field. Gets a sack, dominant at the point of attack. Daquan Jones, Morgan Fox, I thought played one of his best games. Yetur Gross-Matos, I thought was excellent. And then really I thought Frankie Louvu was a difference maker. I don't know for you guys watching it if you jumped off the tape, but watching the coach's film, I thought Frankie jumped off the tape. So, to go back to your question, I think that, we have to be willing to be aggressive against Tampa Bay, knowing that they have a great offense. They score points pretty much on everyone, with Tom Brady and their offensive line and skill players. So I think that can only come if we play really good on our offensive line, our offensive front, both running the football and protecting the quarterback.
And my second question was a follow-up regarding the offensive line. Guard John Miller yesterday said that it's the NFL, sacks are going to come. That's 14 sacks that the offensive line has given up over the last two games. What is, the approach or mentality to kind of get rid of that c'est la vie attitude with, it happens. What's the conversation like in that offensive line room right now?
That's the first I heard John say that. I can tell you this. John Miller goes out there every week, beat up and banged up and fights like crazy to get back out there. We have one sack on a naked where instead of throwing it away, Sam just runs out of bounds. We have two, I think Joe asked me about yesterday, that were off of, the back or the tight end and back. So it's not always just the offensive line, but I can tell you our offensive line, they don't take it lightly. There's no c'est la vie. They might deflect when they have to talk to the media because this is hard, right? It's hard being in the crosshairs. It's hard, I'm sure, for those guys to be criticized because they put so much into it. They care. So they work hard. They try hard. So I don't think there's any. Hey, we don't care. It might come across that way, but it's not that way.
Thanks for clearing that up. I know that it can be really, really frustrating, especially after a string of losses, and we're getting these guys when passions are still running high right after the game. So thanks for clearing that up, Coach.
Can you turn up? I can't hear what people are saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sheena, I'm sorry, Sheena. I'm having a hard time hearing. So say that again.
No, that's fine. I said, thanks for clearing that up because, we are getting these guys right after a loss. And of course, there's frustrations. That was their 6th straight. So thanks for clearing that up for those that may have taken the perspective that they're not taking it as seriously.
Yeah, Sheena, I would just say, and again, I'm not a moral victory guy, but I would say in a week where COVID and, obviously we're not going to the playoffs and, there's people are I think you guys were asking me, is there dissension in the locker room? If there, you have guys like Shaq Thompson. I mean, Shaq's in his 7th year. Like, he's got what incentive does Shaq have to come back early and play in that game? What incentive does Burns as a Pro Bowler? What incentive does Burns have? You say whatever we want, the offense, that was a team yesterday. I think anyone could see that they played really, really hard and they played as a team and had tremendous energy and they fought. Like the defense, I mean, we couldn't quite punt the ball across the 50, our punting game, we were kind of backed up. I thought our defense time and time again came out there. I thought offensively those guys battled to the end. I would just want to make sure that, from my perspective, anybody that watched the game would say, well, they really played hard, and a lot of guys laid it on the line. So I don't think there's anything, you get to this point of the season, you have a team that plays that hard, that means you have a good locker room, you have good guys. We have really good guys, and they competed at the end. They were heartbroken at the end of that game, I can tell you, because they felt like they had a chance to win it. They were in it to win it. They battled to win it. And at the end, we lost it in the 4th quarter and we weren't able to get it done. So I think that's the emotion as much as anything. It's just disappointment and frustration. But as I told them, they should feel frustrated. We should never accept losing. But I certainly, for one, appreciated the physicality and the effort. I mean, I see guys limping to the sidelines and then going right back out there. I mean, this is a tough collection of guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's go to Scott Fowler, followed by Will Pelagic.
Thanks. Matt, the quarterback plan this week, will it be the same?
I think it'll be the same. I mean, we'll talk about it, in terms of what Cam's role is. But as I sit here right now, I have no reason, no thoughts of changing. Like I said, we've seen Cam, see what he can do, see all the good things that he can do. Chance for us to see where Sam's at. Started one game. Love to see his growth into the next game. See some of the things I talked about, how he'll attack those. But always have both guys ready.
And I just wanted to ask you quickly about, you mentioned the drops. You think that's an issue with DJ Moore right now?
No, I mean, obviously the one on the sideline, I think DJ's made a lot of big plays for us. I thought the one on the sideline was a big one, was a crucial one. Also makes a lot of really tough contested catches a lot of the slants across the middle. So, obviously DJ be the first to tell you he'd like to eliminate that one. But I just globally overall, I think it's, I'm always trying to push the agenda that it takes everybody on offense to be successful. But DJ's a really, really good player. He's, coming into his own. I think those plays, those crucial, got to have it plays. He made some of them in the game, and, he just has to continue to make more of them.
Thank you.
Matt, in terms of the offensive line, you've mentioned, we've been talking about them all year. Is it something where you got to go back and reevaluate what you're looking for, or is it a teaching issue? I guess my question is it more nature versus nurture in terms of the struggles at that position?
I think first of all, Will, I think anytime you have 11 different lineups, that's not good, right? No matter where you're at with it. I think as we get to the end of this year, I think we'll obviously evaluate everything in the off season. Right now, we're just focused on this week. Where we are right now. I think when you look at offensive linemen, you're always looking for kind of homegrown offensive linemen that you raise up in your system and they develop. So, looking at Brady right now, looking at Deontay, obviously Timo was drafted and has been here. So, we'll just have to look at everything in the off season. In terms of how do we get better at it? But I also think you have to make a true investment in the position. And I'm not saying we haven't. I'm just saying that, obviously we all sit here and see we've made a lot of improvement on defense. We've made a lot of improvement, I feel like, in some of our special teams areas, some of them. We have good skill players. We just have to continue to invest in the offensive line, because when you have an offensive line that can run the ball and protect the quarterback, everything else just kind of eases up. And I don't want to throw that whole game on one position. We had lots of opportunities. We dropped an interception. We gave up a 3rd and 13. Lots of things that could have changed the game. We didn't punt the ball well enough. But I think when we get to this offseason, we'll look at everything.
Do you feel like you should have invested more sooner in that position?
I can't look backwards. I can only look forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Will.
Let's go to Christian Ottesert, followed by Mike Solarte.
Coach, given the situation over the past week, has there been any new COVID cases, and is Hassan cleared protocol yet?
No, Hassan's not back yet. I think I saw Sam Tecklenburg was back today. Daryl Johnson thinks back today, but other than that, everyone else is still out, and I have nothing new to report COVID case-wise yet.
And real quick follow-up, given the situation with the offensive line, Chuba Hubbard had a little bit more emotion talking to us yesterday after the game. He was kind of basically just pissed off, saying, "Hey, man, we all got a job to do. This is, losing sucks." What have you seen from him since he's taken over from Christian McCaffrey that's kind of stood out to you?
Well, I think Chuba. I think Chuba's got a physical presence to him. I think Chuba really cares. He is emotional. He is fired up. He does want to win. At the same time, he takes responsibility. The first sack last week, he missed the protection, and Cam's about to rip a seam ball to Tommy, and he's the first guy to take responsibility for it. I think he prepares at a high level. I'm in here Wednesday night. It must have been 9 or 10 o'clock. He's walking back in the building to get in the cold tubs and take care of his body. He worked all day, went home, came back. So he's a good young player that has been good on special teams. I was glad to see him, Christian, finally break a run for a touchdown. I think that's the thing that he's needed, to show that, hey, I can take one the distance. Obviously, it wasn't 70, but it was, from 20, 25 yards where he was able to make the safety miss. So I think he's got a lot of potential. But I do like his, I don't know what he said after the game, so I can't comment on that. But I do like his fire. It's good when guys have passion, but at the same time take true accountability for the things that they do.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. You talked earlier about the guys, limping off the field and then going back in there, and how you feel that the room is unified and is a good room. The results obviously not where you want it, but is in terms of what we've talked about with you in the past and the long range plan and the process. Is this a normal thing in what you've seen in your other rebuilds, where even though the results may not be there, it's kind of the start of where things are, start of things going in the direction you want them to?
I'll be honest with you, Mike, I'm hesitant to say that because, as you said, the results aren't there. And this is a results business. People want results. I want results. The guys want results. So, I think when you're on the inside, you always see all the good things and the bad things. It's funny. Me and Cam were talking last week, and Cam's got such perspective. And he said to me, it's one thing when you don't know what's broken and you don't know how to fix it. Like when you kind of know, hey, we got to fix this and this, and you have a plan for it. Then it's easy to make steps. So I feel like we've made some progress, but we don't have the results right now to talk about anything other than just I just want to make sure. Sometimes when you lose, all different sort of things get out, agendas get out, and I just don't want there to be anything other than, in my opinion, those guys went out there and laid it on the line yesterday, and that to me, just as a football fan, meant a great deal. You see a lot of teams, you come down the stretch, they talk about making business decisions, they lay down. I thought our guys went out there this past game and they played hard and they played physical, and a lot of times we played really well. Some areas where we struggle, we continue to struggle. I get at, I think if you go back and look throughout the course of the year, I've been asked about the same couple things over and over, and I don't, sometimes you just can't fix it. And you need time to fix it. So, but I don't want to sit here and talk about, hey, I feel good about where we're at, because, we haven't made the progress in terms of the on-field results that I want, that anybody wants. And that's why I understand why people are frustrated. I understand all of those things. The guys in this locker room are frustrated, but they're not quitters. They are winners. They truly keep pounding. They come out here every week, and I just want to make sure that that's that's what's said, because they might speak out of frustration after the games, because that was emotional for them yesterday. And you know what, Mike, they have to get up off the mat this week and go out there and play again, and they have to go on the road and play against, one of the top teams in the National Football League and the greatest quarterback of all time. And so, we'll find out a lot about them. We'll find out a lot about me and my ability to get them ready to play. We'll find out a lot about this whole organization. As I told the guys, you find out a lot about each other when, you go through situations like this. And it wasn't good enough yesterday, so that's the final word. You are what your record says you are. But I did like and I did appreciate their character and their football toughness. And I think the thing I'll say is, when you're looking out there and you see like Keith Taylor, who's a rookie, or you see Yetur, who's a second-year player, you see these guys, and you're like, man, just wait till they grow up. Wait till Jeremy Chin and Kenny Robinson and those guys. And when I mean grow up, I'm talking about like now. Chin at halftime was great, and so I say all that to say, we're trying to build something great. It's not built yet, so I understand why everyone's saying, what the heck, why is it not built yet? But we're trying to build something great. Yesterday wasn't good enough. We'll try to do it again this week.
I think from the aspect, or the line I was going with, though, not necessarily with the results, but with the attitudes and that sort of thing.
I appreciate your question. No, you get it. You definitely get it. You see what I'm saying. I'm just saying, sometimes you get to this point in the year, it's just sort of like, I understand that people want us to win, but I am really pleased with a lot of positions developed. When I saw the way when I turned the tape on, Mike, and saw the way our D-line played, I was like, okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. And when I saw the way, some young guys in the secondary played, I said, okay, and I saw the way we covered kicks yesterday versus probably, Harrison's been out for 4 games, but 3 games. When I saw the way we kicked under duress, and I saw Zylstra and STO and Sam Franklin, those guys play on special teams, I said, okay, that's the way it looks, So there's a lot of things that I'm like, man, they've gotten so much better. We didn't have Steph Gilmore out there yesterday. We didn't have Dante Jackson. We didn't have Christian McCaffrey, Matt Paradis. We didn't have those guys, Hassan Reddick. And the guys that went out there, though, I thought they played well enough to have a chance to win. And so that's the progress that I'm looking at. That's the process. Is you know what? Like, are you proud of the way the team played yesterday? Now, are you mad that I haven't done a good job of this? This. That I get, but from where we started at to where we are now, there's a lot of good things happening. Just the result's not where it needs to be, and that's what people should be frustrated at. But I believe it's coming.
Thanks, man.
We have time for one more. Let's wrap it up with Joe Person.
Matt, you mentioned Gilmore. Is there a chance that or is he done for the year? And then also, you also mentioned Deontay Brown. Any chance we might see him a little more this week?
Yeah, I think Deontay's something we have to talk about. Just seeing, trying to get him, even in a special teams role or something. Deontay's been practicing well, so that's something I'd like to talk about with Pat. And that's not taking away to anyone else. Just as you know, it's the time to see some a guy like that. And then Stephon, I just haven't talked to Stephon. I texted with Stephon the night before the game. I think when a guy of his stature and age and experience says, hey, just give me a chance to see if I can play in that game, especially, there's really been no reason to put him on IR because of all the COVID cases and spots. So we'll see this week. I think, by Thursday, we'll know if he hasn't practiced Wednesday or Thursday, he's probably out. But I'm kind of taking his lead because, there's no one. I'll just say this: he's such a good person for young players to learn from. We played the Falcons in Atlanta. We beat them. We come back. He's right in the building. He's taking care of his body while everyone else is home. I've told that story before. We had a walk through the Sunday before the Tampa game, and he asked, "Hey, can I skip it? I get in the building at 8:00 in the morning, and I start my process for a 1:00 game. A lot of the young players want to go home and get dressed up and show up and all the stuff that comes with the game. And you got Stephon Gilmore, NFL, Defensive Player of the Year, and he's here at 8:00 in the morning preparing. So when he says to me like, "Hey, give me a shot," we'll see. So I don't have an answer for you, Joe, other than I'm sure if he can go, he will try to go because he's a competitor.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right, thanks, Coach.